Man, Valentine's Day in Chicago, it ain't about no flowers and candy, folks. Back in 2017, the whole South Side stood bone still when the biggest member from Parkway, the heart of the Wick, T. Roy, got caught lacking in a local store. And the wild part, it was Terry Berry from TW that pulled that trigger, sparking a war that turned these blocks into a literal graveyard. Today, on Hood Edition, we breaking down the hits that turned names into legends, the get-backs, and how the assassins became the hunted. September 2nd, 2007, Washington Park. The summer was supposed to be winding down, but the heat on the south side was just hitting a boil. We talking about a life snatch before it even got out the gate. Just 2 days away from starting 8th grade, 14-year-old Xavier Washington, known on the block as Junebug from MOB, found himself in a no-exit situation. See, the streets don't check ID, shorty. Merchant. Around 9 at night, Junebug was chilling in a Chevy with two older cats on 57th and Wabash. That vibe got shotted when the Chevy Impala glided up with surgical precision. Word on the pavement was Dada from Folly that let that lead fly. Junebug took the brunt of it as the glass turned to confetti. He was rushed to Stroger, but a 14-year-old body ain't built for that kind of pressure. He was gone 30 minutes later. While mothers was out there crying on the concrete the next morning, rivals was already sliding back through, throwing up signs and screaming threats. The war between MOB and Front Street didn't even let the candle wax dry before they was looking for the next one. September 14th, 2007, Woodlawn. 12 days later, the Southside Reaper was back at work, proving once again that in the war zone, 14 ain't an age of innocence, it's an age of execution. Dalvin Miller, streets called him Dalvin, reppin' Jaro City, was kicking it with his homies on 62nd and Langley. He didn't see the predator creeping through the alley. Out the shadows, a shooter emerged from between the buildings like a ghost. The streets whispered one name, D-Thang, the high-profile heavy hitter from Brick City in 600. Without saying a word, he emptied the clip. Dalvin got hit in his back while everybody else was diving for cover. The shorty was a hooper, stayed in his books, but to the streets, he was just another skull in a growing feud. Jaro City lost a soul, and Dalvin's name became a battle cry for kids forced to grab a pole before they even hit manhood. March 13th, 2008, Bronzeville. Broad daylight, 2:50 p.m., a calculated switch-up in the power grid. 20-year-old Carlos Merrill, lost from 051 Young Money, was right outside his crib when the shadows from 46th Street came looking for a receipt. Streets credit the duo Franco and Bobo from THF 46 for this one. A whip pulls alongside him, and it's a heavy barrage of lead before Lost could even blink. He was gone by 3:28. That was a major blow to the 051 circle. The law never cuffed nobody, but the neighborhood knew exactly where that pressure came from. September 21st, 2008, Woodlawn. The cycle spun right back to 62nd Street, proving a truce in Chicago's a fairy tale. 25-year-old Rodney King, hottie from Jaro City, walked right into the scope of a familiar hunter. Exactly a year after Dalvin fell, the friction between Jaro and Brick City claimed another veteran. In a clinical walk down, the shooter closed the gap. Again, the streets pointed the finger at D-Thang. Hottie took one to the head, a targeted strike to make sure there was no recovery. He dropped right there on Woodlawn. While the police was counting casings, the block knew the motive. This was just another chapter in a book written in blood. No arrests, shooters in the wind, and Hottie's name became another brick in a war that was just starting to sizzle. September 27, 2008, Grand Boulevard. The friction between 46th Street and the 051 circle reached a boil at a crossroads where the streets and civilian life collide. 18-year-old Isaiah Walker, known on the blocks as Zico, reppin' 051 Young Money, was actually back in the city on a break from university. He was just looking to catch a fade and a meal before heading back to the books. But in the heart of the South Side, your past never stays in the rear view. Merchant. Zico was in a McDonald's parking lot on 47 when the atmosphere turned lethal. A 28-year-old A. Key from THF 46 unleashed a barrage of gunfire at close range. Zico collapsed on the asphalt right there in front of everybody. A. Key dipped to Indiana to hide out, but the feds eventually caught up with him. But the damage was done. Zico's name became a battle cry that set the stage for a decade of relentless getbacks. July 5th, 2009, Grand Boulevard. 4th of July weekend in Chicago usually smells like gunpowder, and on the south side that rarely comes from fireworks. Around 10 in the morning, the quiet on Forestville Avenue was shattered. 21-year-old Dominic from 051 was on the block when the shadows closed in. Streets credit a heavy-hitting duo from THF 46, Bezu and Bruh. A Monte Carlo pulled to a halt and multiple gunmen hopped out with lethal intent. Dominic didn't even have time to register the threat before the lead started flying. He was struck several times as the shooters stood their ground to make sure the job was finished. Broad daylight, folks. Real deal pressure. Another soldier lost, and the divide between 051 and 46 got even deeper. August 25th, 2010, Parkway Gardens. The late August humidity was heavy with the scent of an escalating war. Around 11:30 at night, 64th and King Drive erupted in absolute chaos. A massive street fight broke out, drawing a crowd of dozens and all the blue lights. But while the officers was focused on the brawling, the real killers was moving through the shadows. 29-year-old Larry Marshall, known as Reezy, repping WIC City, was caught in the middle of the storm. As the crowd scattered from the police, a gunman took advantage of the confusion. Streets say it was a young, high-profile shooter from STL named Wooski. Reezy was struck in the back and dropped right there as the shooter vanished into the dark corridors of O-Block. By the time the sirens faded, Reezy was gone. This was a pivotal moment, folks. Another piece taken off the board, fueling a new decade of drill. September 22nd, 2010, Woodlawn. The war between the 64th block and Jaro City reached a fever pitch just weeks after Reezy fell. Around 1:50 p.m., 63rd and Rhodes became the stage for a high-profile execution. 20-year-old Lil Fo from Jaro City was on the block when the WIC City shadows closed in. They say it was a trio of heavy hitters, OD, Trey 5, and Boss Top. Lil Fo was approached, things turned violent, and the gunman let off. Lil Fo was hitting his back, running on pure adrenaline for a few seconds before he collapsed on the concrete. He was the brother of STL legends, so his loss sent a ripple of fury through the set. It was a point of no return. The name Lil Fo was etched into the history of the South Side, fueling the cycle that would lead to the most infamous moments in the drill era. On Phonum, it never stops. One name leads to the next. March 4th, 2011, Woodlawn. The friction on the South Side is a maze of shifting alliances and mistaken identities. Sometimes just being in the wrong zip code at the wrong time carries the ultimate price. Around 8:45 in the morning, the quiet on South Rhodes Avenue was broken by a hit that still got the streets debating today. 27-year-old Marcus Richmond, known as Rico from D-Block, was walking through rival territory. Now, a lot of legends try to link Rico to STL, but the reality was more complicated. He was just in the neighborhood visiting a female friend when the predators from 64th spotted the target. Streets point the finger at a high-profile veteran from WUSIC, Trey 5. 3 shots at close range. Rico dropped, and the shooter vanished into the residential stretch. It left the neighborhood reeling and full of misinformation. Whether he was STL or TYMB affiliate didn't matter to the Reaper. It was just another name added to the murals and more gas on the fire. April 8th, 2011, Bronzeville. Friday evening rush hour. People sorting mail, commuters heading crib, and then absolute carnage. The war between 46th Street and 051 Young Money claimed another young soul. 18-year-old Quint from THF 46 was standing with his homies when a vehicle cut through traffic with lethal intent. Streets credit this one the heavy hitter from 051, Montana. A flurry of rounds erupted from the passing car. Quint took a catastrophic hit to the head and was left lifeless in the middle of the road. 2 others got hit in the crossfire, but the shooters were already gone, fading into the Southside maze. Montana's reputation in the trenches was already legendary, but this hit right at the front door of THF 46 made the war go all out. July 16, 2011, Kenwood. Even near the Obama family home, the heat is clinical. Tony McCoy, Lil Tony, was targeted yards from his front door. Man, this shorty was 7 feet tall, a quarterback, a hooper, a legend in the Park District, but the shadows don't care about talent. Reports point back to Montana from 051 again, another surgical strike. Tony's massive frame collapsed on the same pavement he played on since he was 5 years old. He wasn't a soldier, folks. He was a kid with college dreams, whose family said he had been robbed just 2 days before. While the fire trucks washed the blood off the street, his mother sat in silent grief. It proved that in this beef, even those reaching for a future can be pulled back into the cycle. July 17th, Washington Park. The air turned ice cold just before 1 a.m. The war between MOB and the new power of 600 was about to claim a foundational member. 20-year-old Marcus London, known as Baldy, was standing outside when the night turned lethal. A gunman emerged from the shadows. Streets say it was Damo from MOB. A flurry of rounds caught Baldy in the head. He fought for his life at Mount Sinai, but he was gone by that afternoon. Loss of Baldy was a massive blow, leading to Baldy World tributes and a hunger for retaliation that saw no limits. August 10th, 2011, Parkway Gardens. This is the hit that changed everything. Around 11:35 p.m. at the entrance of the complex, 20-year-old O.D. Perry was caught in the crosshairs. Woosik's most respected figure was met by a duo of young hunters from STL, K.I. and Butter. A heavy barrage of gunfire erupted, catching O.D. in the neck. He collapsed right at the gates of his home. O.D.'s loss didn't just claim a life, it rebranded the block. Woosik became O-Block, a name that would echo from the South Side to the global stage. No arrests were made, but the name O.D. was now written into the foundation of the war. September 13th, 2011, Washington Park. The city was still reeling from O.D. when the war claimed its most lethal architect. 18-year-old Devin Warner, D-Thing, the founder and the engine behind 600, was caught in the hunt. He was sitting in a parked car when he spotted Dom from Jaro City. D-Thing dove out and sprinted 3 blocks in a desperate race for his life. But Dom closed the gap on King Drive and let it fly. The face of 600 was gone just 1 year after starting the set. The thirst for get back reached a level the neighborhood had never seen. September 19th, Washington Park. 6 days after his 17th birthday and 1 week after D-Thing fell, Stephen McGee, Lil Steve, reppin' 600, was walking on Prairie Avenue. A man on the bike tried to warn him, telling them guys with guns was in the alley, but it was too late. Lil Scrap from MOB emerged from the shadows. A barrage of gunfire caught Lil Steve in the head and torso. He was gone shortly after. Lil Steve fell on the same block where Baldy was taken out months before. As Lil Steve Drive became the new name for the block, the blood feud reached a point of no return. Even a warning wasn't enough to stop the lead. Merchant, it's a graveyard out here. September 26, 2011, Washington Park. The friction between Jaro City and what was left of Brick City claimed another life in broad daylight. Around 4 in the afternoon, 21-year-old Carl Spencer, known on the streets as Jizzle, reppin' Brick City, was walking on 61st Street. A group of men approached him on foot, and within seconds, one gunman stepped forward and let it fly. Streets point to Tutu from Jaro City as the shooter. Jizzle took hits to the head and chest, and he didn't make it. No arrests, and Jaro City claimed another strike in a war that was spiraling out of control. October 18, 2011, Parkway Gardens. The war for the 6400 block intensified when a high-stakes hit went down deep inside O Block territory. 20-year-old Edward Riley, platoon repping O Block, was walking with his girl near 63rd and King Drive. Two shooters in dark clothes, identified by the streets as Wooski and Brick from STL, unleashed a barrage of gunfire. Platoon collapsed and the shooters kept moving, even hitting a 15-year-old in the head for vanishing into the night. The scene at Parkway turned into a riot, folks. People were blocking ambulances, and police had to force the crowd back. No arrests, but STL had just sent a surgical strike right to the heart of the O. November 10, 2011, West Woodlawn. The cycle for Jizzle's death came full circle in a dark alley. A man walking his dog made a grim discovery. The body of 17-year-old Carlton Archer, Tutu from Jaro City. He'd been targeted in a clinical execution. Streets credit the hit to a cold-blooded shooter from 600, C-Day. The gunman vanished, and Tutu's death sent shockwaves through the neighborhood, leading to the creation of Tutu Gang. It was one of the most significant losses in the war between 600 and Jaro. That same night, the 600 versus 051 beef claimed another victim. 18-year-old Terrence T-Streets from 051 was sitting in a car when the night turned lethal. Streets say D-Thang from 600 closed in and unleashed a clinical strike to T-Street's face at close range. No chance of survival. Another chapter in a blood feud where the cost of loyalty was paid in full. December 3rd, 2011, West Woodlawn. Winter air turned lethal when 16-year-old Dale from STL was on the block and a silver two-door vehicle cut through with cold intent. A gunman leaned out the window and let it fly. Streets point the figure at D. Rose, a high-profile hunter from 600. Dale was hit twice in the chest and was gone by 4:24 p.m. Another name added to the STL murals. February 2nd, 2012, Washington Park. Freezing February night and the friction between 600 and 051 claimed Shaq repping 600. In a clinical ambush credited to the lethal duo of Melly and Kiddo from 051, Shaq was hit multiple times, including a catastrophic hit to the head. Shaq was gone on the spot. A major strike for 051 right in the heart of rival territory. February 16th, 2012, Parkway Gardens. Around 6:46 p.m., Shord Liggins, Sherwood from O Block, was on King Drive when the night turned lethal. Streets credit this to Boss Trail from STL. A single shot, surgical precision, caught Sherwood in the head. Some say it was a lucky ricochet, but the result was a definitive blow to O Block. Sherwood fought for 4 days before he succumbed. No arrests, and Boss Trail's reputation only grew. April 28, 2012, West Woodlawn. Marlon Monroe, Lil Doc from STL, was targeted in a clinical strike. The streets credit T. Roy, the high-profile heavy hitter from O Block. A single shot to the chest, and Lil Doc was gone. It was a direct response to the ongoing beef with the O. T. Roy remained in the wind, his reputation as a top-tier hunter growing by the day. May 28, 2012, Bronzeville. Memorial Day weekend. 35-year-old Robert McNair, Lil Chief from 051, was caught in an alley. Streets credit Bezu from THF 46 for this one. A barrage of 45 caliber rounds left him with no chance. Lil Chief was trying to change his life and move away from the friction, but the streets proved unforgiving. June 22, 2012, Inglewood. The war reached a dark peak when the streets claimed one of his youngest. Antonio Davis, fathead repping 051, was walking on South Union. A gray van pulled up and 2 shooters, identified by the streets as C-Day and D-Thang, hopped out. As Fathead fell, the shooter stood over him and continued firing to make sure the job was done. Fathead was only 14. It remains one of the most infamous moments in the 051 versus 600 blood feud, a surgical strike that left the South Side reeling. Merchant, it's a cold world when kids is targets. June 24th, 2012, Woodlawn. The violence on the South Side took a tragic turn when a 13-year-old life was cut short by friendly fire. Tyquan Tyler, repping Jaro City,
was just blocks from his crib on South Roads. In a chaotic sequence that the streets credit to his own homies, Wayne and Nate, shots was fired from a whip meant for rivals. But the rounds went astray and hit Tyquan in the chest. He was gone by 3 a.m. Tyquan's face ended up on the murals, and his name eventually birthed the Tyquan World set. A 13-year-old soldier lost to the same friction his own set helped create. Merchant. June 30th, 2012, Bronzeville. The beef between 46th Street and 051 reached a level of high-powered carnage. 17-year-old Paris Hobson, black from THF 46, was on 45th Street when a vehicle slammed to a halt. In a clinical execution credited to Lil Mick from 051, a gunman jumped out with an AK-47. He let off at least 10 rounds, catching Black in the head. Broad daylight with heavy artillery. It showed the world that 051 was ready to use maximum force to take out THF's front line. No arrests, and Black's name was etched into 46 history, fueling a fire that hadn't gone out yet. August 8th, 2012, Woodlawn. The war between Jaro and O-Block reached a fever pitch right in front of the law. 19-year-old White from O-Block was targeted right at 63rd and King Drive. In a bold move credited to 50 shots from Jaro, the gunman opened fire right in front of patrolling officers. White was hit in the back. The shooter actually turned his weapon on the police, sparking a whole shootout before he tried to dip. White didn't make it. Police caught 50 shots after winging him in the leg. It was a major blow to O-Block right outside their own gates. October 13th, 2012, West Woodlawn. This is where the name King Von starts ringing bells. 17-year-old model from STL was walking to meet a girl when he was caught in an ambush. Streets credit Vaughn for this one. He approached on foot and let off a barrage at close range. Model was killed and his cousin was hit multiple times. It was a major strike for the O, and it solidified Vaughn's reputation as a real deal hunter. October 30th, 2012, West Woodlawn. Another major figure fell in a brutal morning ambush. 23-year-old Derek Johnson, P5 from Jaro City, was caught on Ebervard. This was a surgical strike credited to a trio of O-Block heavy hitters, J Money, King Von, and Big A. They caught P5 with overwhelming force, leaving him no chance to escape. This was seen as direct get-back for White. The O-Block trio's lethal reputation was officially stamped in the trenches that day. November 1st, 2012, Washington Park. 19-year-old Trix, repping 600, was caught in an alley on Prairie Avenue. Streets credit Kiddo from 051 for the hit. Trix was gone by 10:30 a.m. After he fell, a whole controversy started, cause some 600 members disowned him, saying he wasn't official. But to 051, it was a clear strike in rival territory. November 8th, 2012, Wrightwood, a massive turning point. 17-year-old Boss Trail from STL was found shot in the head. Streets credit T. Roy from O-Block for this one. Boss Trail was the specialist for STL, and he was actually planning to move to Iowa to escape the violence just days before he was killed. His death was a massive blow, giving the O definitive get-back for Sherrod. November 19th, 2012, Washington Park. The 600 Hunters was operating with precision. 32-year-old James from Mob was outside his crib when a hit squad closed in. Streets credit Bite Down and Blast His Ass from 600. James was hit near his doorstep and didn't make it. It signaled that even the veterans weren't safe from the young 600 shooters. September 3rd, 2013, West Woodlawn. Labor Day turned lethal. 21-year-old Jerome Wood, J Money from O-Block, was caught in a high-stakes ambush. Credited to the duo Lil B and K.I. from STL, J Money was hit in the head and body in broad daylight. J Money was a foundation for O-Block and a close friend of King Von. His death ignited a hunger for revenge that burned through the whole Black Disciple Alliance. September 26, 2013, South Shore. This one shook the world. 17-year-old L.A. Capone, the rising star of 600, was walking to his whip after leaving the studio. A gunman approached on foot and let it fly. Credited to Lil Mick from 051, L.A. was hit in the hip and back. He fought in surgery for hours, but he was pronounced dead that night. Catastrophic blow to the drill scene. L.A. was the one everybody thought was gonna make it out. November 14, 2013, Woodlawn. The war between 46 and 051 claimed Big A at a gas station. A THF trio, Dre Money, Westbrook, and Lil Ant pulled up and riddled her car with lead. Big A was a foundational member of 051, and her death sent shockwaves through the set. Yellow flags everywhere, folks. Real deal pressure. On Phonum, the price of loyalty in these streets is too high.
January 12, 2014, West Woodlawn. The friction in Woodlawn took a tragic turn inside its own circle. 16-year-old Lil Mo from Tyquan world was at a kickback in a basement on St. Lawrence. A domestic argument with his girl turned into a physical fight when another male jumped in. Streets and police say the intervener was Manny Fresh from STL. He left the crib but came back with a pole and let it fly at close range. Lil Mo didn't make it. It created a deep rift between the young Tyquan world crowd and the older STL generation. Internal losses always cut the deepest. Merchant. February 12, 2014, West Woodlawn. Exactly a month later, the war between the BDs and the young generation claimed 14-year-old Vinzel Richardson, better known as Big V from Tyquan world. He was walking with his homies when a white van pulled up. Streets credit a duo from the BD Alliance, Lil Los from Front Street and D Rose from 600. Big V was hit in the head and dropped right there. He was just a freshman in high school. His mother had just buried his friend Lil Mo a month prior. Imagine that pain. No arrests and the shooters remained in the wind. March 27th, Bronzeville. The beef between 051 and the 46600 Alliance reached a peak fever. 20-year-old Lil Mark, the lead factor for 051 Young Money, was at a bus stop on 51st Street. This was a high-profile execution credited to Twiller from THF 46 and D Rose from 600. A silver minivan pulled up and a gunman jumped out with an extended clip. Lil Mark was gone instantly, just days after dropping a provocative diss track. The shooters torched the van later to hide the evidence. Lil Mark was a foundational voice, and his loss was a massive blow to 051. April 9th, West Inglewood. Mario Hess, known to the world as Blood Money, a Big Glow, was outside his family crib. He was Chief Keef's cousin and had just signed a major deal with Interscope 2 weeks prior. He was on the verge of mainstream stardom. Streets say it was a lethal duo that caught him, K.I. from STL and Bebe from Mob. Multiple gunmen opened fire and Blood Money didn't make it. It was a devastating blow to Front Street and the GBE camp. Jealousy and rivalry is a deadly mix. April 7th, West Woodlawn. 2 days later, the war reached its most cinematic conclusion. 17-year-old K.I., the premier hunter for STL, was walking to a barbecue on Eberhard. This was the ultimate get-back for the BD Alliance. Streets and later the police credit King Von and Big A from O-Block. K.I. was struck 9 times, including shots to the jaw and chest. She had a reputation that was larger than life, and her fall marked the end of an era for STL. King Von's reputation as a top-tier specialist was officially stamped that day. June 6th, Washington Park. 18-year-old Lil Scrap, a premier shooter for Mob, was caught in the alley on Wabash. Credited to Just Blow and Lil Boo from 600. Scrap was targeted with overwhelming force. He survived 2 shootings before, but the third one was fatal. Mob created Scrap Gang in his honor, and the retaliation was immediate. June 30th to Bronzeville. During the summer storm, 17-year-old Polo from 051 was caught on 52nd place. Streets credit Lil Boo, the leader of 600. A black van pulled up in the pouring rain and let off. Polo collapsed into a puddle. A neighbor held his hand, telling him to hang in there, but he was gone before the medics arrived. March 27th, Avalon Park. The war between OTF and 051 claimed a pivotal figure. 24-year-old Chino, Lil Durk's manager, was in a red Camaro outside a restaurant. Credited to Melly from 051, a gunman approached on foot and let it fly. Chino took a fatal hit to the head. This was especially grim because Chino had spent that afternoon talking about anti-violence initiatives with Joakim Noah. Chino's loss was a massive blow to Dirk's inner circle, and Melly's reputation as a high-level specialist only grew. On Phonem, the cycle just keeps spinning faster and faster. April 3rd, 2015, Washington Park. The war between 600 and the 051 Jaro alliance hit a breaking point when the 600 general got taken off the board. 22-year-old Jerome Anderson, known globally as Lil Boo, the co-founder and brain behind 600, was walking near 58th and King Drive. A gold whip pulled up, and it was a super group of hunters looking for him. Streets credit Bebe from Mob, Ario from 051, and Lucky from Jaro. A barrage of gunfire erupted as Lil Boo tried to flee. He collapsed on the pavement and was gone. This was the ultimate get-back for Polo and Chino. Lil Boo was the architect, and his fall left a massive power vacuum in the 6000 block. April 20th, 2015, Washington Park. The younger generation wasn't playing. 18-year-old Marshawn Fleming, capo from Front Street, was caught on King Drive. In a clinical execution credited to TB from Tyquan World, a gunman let off in broad daylight. This was a bold move, sliding right into the heart of rival territory just weeks after Lil Boo fell. TB's reputation as a top-tier specialist for the young generation was officially stamped. May 24th, 2015, Bronzeville. Memorial Day weekend took a personal turn. 15-year-old Raheem from THF 46 was caught in the alley on 45th Street. Credited to the 051 duo Melly and Ario, a sedan rolled through and let off. Raheem was the stepson of THF leader Zoo, making this hit deeply personal. They say Raheem had allegedly shot at Melly before, so this was the final receipt. The screams of his family echoed through the rain that night. July 22nd, 2015, Washington Park. 26-year-old Carlton Singleton, Stello from 600, was driving his silver Charger when the hit was initiated. Streets credit Bebe from Mob. Gunfire ripped into the car and Stello slumped over the wheel. He was the primary driver for 600's top factors. His mother and sisters collapsed in grief at the scene as a crowd of 40 people gathered. The streets warned that 59th Street was finna be hot as a firecracker. August 31st, 2015, Kenwood. 35-year-old Tyrus Jackson, Wank from 051, was targeted on Drexel Boulevard. Credited to Westbrook from THF 46, Wank was caught in a high-stakes ambush. He was an older, influential member of 051, and his loss was a strategic win for the 46. It signaled that THF was looking to dismantle 051's veteran ranks piece by piece. September 19th, 2016, Kenwood. The cycle claimed 14-year-old Tyquan from THF 46 while he was just walking with a friend. Streets credit Ario from 051 for the drive-by. Tyquan was a wrestler and a freshman. His mother had just let him out to play basketball. While the family fought the gangbanger label, the streets saw it as another strike in the 051 versus 46 war. June 10th, 2016, Washington Park. On the hottest day of the year, 26-year-old T-Bear from 051 was caught on Garfield Boulevard, credited to a specialized duo, Rome from THF 46 and T-Man from THF 44. Two shooters on foot closed the gap and let it fly. This highlighted the deep cooperation between the THF sets to dismantle 051. June 13th, 2016, Inglewood. A massive scope for the BD Alliance. 18-year-old Jordan Liggins, known globally as Bebe, a premier specialist for Mob, was found unresponsive in a vehicle. Some say he was backdoored, but the streets credit Bite Down from 600 and Wu-Thang from Duke Squad. Bebe was a legendary hunter credited with hits on Blood Money and Lil Boo. His death shifted the whole momentum of the Southside War. July 17th, 2016, Inglewood. 18-year-old Chino from O-Block was targeted in a clinical strike, credited to the parent of Poppy from Tyquan World and CGR from Steel. Chino was a beloved and highly active member of the O. His loss sent shockwaves through Parkway Gardens and kicked off a whole get-back era. September 21st, 2016, Washington Park. 25-year-old E-boy from Ma was caught near his home. This one was captured on video. A tan Buick pulled up and Tay and Gucci from THF 46 hopped out. They stood over him and continued to fire even after he dropped. Police recovered 11 casings. Both shooters were eventually bagged for first-degree murder, a rare win for the law in a war of hunters. December 1st, 2016, South Shore. 22-year-old Tyquan from THF 46 was caught in an ambush. Credited to the duo Melly and Tristo from 051. Tyquan was hit in the head and abdomen. Melly was maintaining a relentless pace, proving that he could reach anyone, anywhere. December 4th, 2016, Woodlawn. This one was brazen. 23-year-old Antron Young, Big A legendary veteran for O-Block, was inside Sammy's Grill. A lethal duo from Steel, G.I. Joe, and CGR entered the restaurant and opened fire at close range. Big A was hit in the face and body. The scene was pure chaos, with women screaming monsters as they realized the foundational member of the O was taken out right on King Drive. Merchant, the streets don't have no heart.
February 14th, 2017, South Shore. Valentine's Day in Chicago usually cold, but the atmosphere turned ice cold when the war reached its most historic turning point. Around 11:50 in the morning, 23-year-old James Johnson, known globally as T. Roy, was targeted inside a convenience store on 71st Street. See, T. Roy wasn't just a member, he was the premier specialist in the heartbeat of O-Block. He was King Von's best friend and the man the whole city respected and feared. But that day, the hunter became the hunted. In a hit captured on surveillance footage, TB from Tyquan World followed T. Roy into the store. TB recognized his target, pulled his pole, and let off at close range, catching T. Roy in the chest. T. Roy tried to scramble deeper into the store, but he collapsed right there. He was pronounced dead at 12:38 p.m. The loss of T. Roy was a catastrophic blow to the whole BD Alliance. It was like decapitating the O-Block front line. For TB and the younger generation of Tyquan World, this was the ultimate score, the hit that solidified their name in the history books. The aftermath of this hit sparked a wave of violence the city had never seen before. O-Block and 600 vowed total war. No more talking, no more music videos, just pure retaliation for their fallen general. No arrests were made that day, and that grainy store footage became a grim artifact of the drill era, a reminder that in these trenches, even the legends ain't untouchable. Merchant, the streets never forget, and they never stop bleeding.